Now, over the past year, I've built all kinds of apps in FlutterFlow, and that's chiefly for two reasons. The first reason is to show you what's possible, what kind of apps that you can build to kind of expand your imagination and to expand your horizons. And the second, and an even more important reason, is to get you guys to have more experience building these apps yourself, especially if you're a Patreon member that can easily view and or clone every single app that I'm building. Now, as the year is wrapping up, I want to talk about the different categories of apps that you can build, varying by difficulty level. So from the easiest to something that's much harder. And the purpose here is to help you go from a beginner to an expert. And for each category, I will highlight what makes building these types of apps challenging and how you can easily solve this particular problem. And this should help you transition from someone who is a beginner or someone with a little bit of experience to someone that's a lot more advanced and has the confidence to go out and build a lot more complicated, a lot more sophisticated, and a lot more advanced apps. So let's get started. So the first category of app that you can build, and this is the easiest one out there, is a simple to-do app. And really, this is the perfect example when you're starting with a new tool, when you're starting with a new programming language. I think pretty much for all the tools I've reviewed on this channel throughout the years, one of the first things I did was to go out and build a simple to-do app. And the reason for that is that you can show different ways, different capabilities of the tools, but at the end of the day, it's a very, very easy app. And so typically it's going to be a one-screen app, and you will be able to add new items, you will be able to delete these items, and you will be able to update the items. So chiefly from something that needs to be done to something that has been completed. Now, when it comes to storage, you can probably store all of this data in something simple like local storage, which is built in tools such as FlutterFlow. But you can also use Firebase, chiefly Firestore DB. But that's probably going to be an overkill for this example. Now, what makes this example interesting is that when you go out and you build a to-do app, you want to make it reactive. So if I have a list of different items, if I add something, I want it to appear immediately. If I delete something, I want it to be gone immediately. If I update something that needs to be done to something that has been completed, I want that change to be visible immediately. And we call that reactive, right? You want to make everything that you're doing reactive. And this is going to be a common theme with all of these categories because that is what you want to strive for. Anytime you build any of these apps, you want to have it reactive. Reactive can be a little challenging, and that is why this is a perfect example to hone your ability to build reactive apps, because this is a very, very simple example that any one of you watching this video, at least those of you who had been watching me for quite a while, and if you're signed up for Patreon, you will be able to do this no problem. So if you haven't done this yet, I highly recommend for all of you to go out and try to build this simple one-page to-do app. Now, when it comes to a second category of apps that you can build, we are going to be talking about a list detail app. This is a classic structure where you have a list of items, and you can click on an item and then you're directed to another page and you get the details of the item. And so you have a list, then you have another page, and depending on the app that you're going to be building, you can do various things. There are apps where they're very, very simple, you just have a list and detail. But in this example, I'm referring to an e-commerce app, which has a lot of moving pieces, but it's still relatively easy to build compared to some of the examples we're going to be covering later in the video. And so we have a list of different products. A user can click on a specific product. They're going to be redirected to a detail page. And from the detail page, maybe they want to add the specific product to add to cart. They want to add it to their cart. or maybe they want to purchase outright. Typically, we're going to have add to cart functionality, then they can purchase it, and then they're going to have a confirmation. So this example is obviously more advanced than the previous example because not only do we have this list detail pattern happening, which you're going to see all the time, and in order to get this to work, you need to pass a reference to a product as an argument to the second page. But you're also dealing with local storage, you're dealing with Firestore, you're dealing with a payment gateway, a payment processor such as Stripe or something else. You're also dealing with sending email. So there's a lot of moving pieces. But still, at the end of the day, when you think about the overall picture, this is a relatively easy app to build because it's very, very straightforward. It just moves in a straight line. It's an app that doesn't have a lot of crazy logic. It's an app that doesn't have a lot of edge cases. It's an app that you can easily draw an architecture from, and then you can start building it in like 20 minutes. And that is certainly not the case with some of the other apps that we're going to be covering later. So list, detail, then you can purchase it, you can add to cart, you can delete from cart, you can view cart, and within that you have another list detail flow within the app. You might have a confirmation email, which can easily be done by built-in libraries or third-party APIs. Same thing for Stripe and a lot of these other things. So a little bit more advanced, but still a relatively straightforward example for you guys to go out and build. Now, in this next example, we're going to be discussing, this is going to be category 3, and we are going to be talking about potential dating apps, social networking apps, okay? So here's an example of flow for a hypothetical dating app, okay? Something like Tinder, maybe something similar. And in this category, we are going to be introducing the concept of an engine, okay? And this is something I talk a lot about in my recently released FlutterFlow training, which you're going to see in the description below the video. But if I had to summarize it very quickly, an engine is something that happens inside of the app that gives the app a meaning, that gives the app the purpose. Another way to think about it is it's an algorithm, and in this case, let's say we have a Tinder dating app, we have a matching algorithm that's happening. So unlike the previous example where we just have a direct flow, nothing of a kind of algorithmic that's happening, no engine of that sort. In this Tinder example, we have an engine. So just to show you how it works, we have a login, or we have a register, same thing. You're either logged in or you register and then log in. And once you are logged in, you're going to be on the home page. And on the home page, you will need to be swiping, right? So depending on what you're doing, depending on what the other person has done. So if you swipe yes and the other person didn't do anything, you need to take one action. If you swipe no, and you need to take another action. So in this example, what we are interested in is the person swiping yes, because if they swipe no, that's it. This is this rejected flow. We never show that again. And if they swipe yes, we need to, make a note of that, because if the other person swipes yes, or if the other person has already swiped yes. So for instance, here we have other person matched, right? So we need to check what we are doing and what the other person might have done in the past. Okay, so rejected, that's it. We're not going to be showing somebody who matched. We need to double check, did they match us? If yes, we need to show matches, redirect to the chat screen. If not, we just need to make a note of that for the future. So if they do it in the future, then yes, we can have that flow where we have the matches screen. And this is this algorithm here, and this is what you need to implement. Now, the other thing you might want to implement in this example is animation. If you're building a Tinder app, you're going to have that swiping animation. If you do it without that, it's not going to be the same, right? People love that animation, that flow. So you need the algorithm, you need animation, and you need to kind of have it all working together. And there's probably going to be a bunch of edge cases that you kind of have to look at. But there's a lot of things here. There's a lot of things going to be on your plate that you kind of have to take care of. You kind of have to make sure that you're covering. Another really quick example is Twitter, right? Twitter is arguably a simpler example, right? You might not have that animation, but you still have the algorithm, you still have that engine, right? So you log in, you register, and then on the home page, you want to be looking at content from the people that you follow, right? You want to be looking at content just, from the people that you want. And so, you can either, you could follow new people, you can unfollow, you might have a recommendation engine. So if you like these people, show me content from, these other people, recommend me new people. You might have mute functionality. You might have a situation where you're unfollowing, or you're just, you want to mute this person for X amount of time. So it's similar to this kind of dating app example. It's different, but you still have that engine. And that is the case with a lot of consumer apps. You need to think about that algorithmic nature of how it works, right? And that happens on the homepage, right? If I go on the homepage, I want the app to work for me. I want it to show matches I might be interested in, possibly matches that may also be interested in me as well. And here on Twitter, I wanna look at tweets that I'm interested in. I want to look at tweets that are relevant to me, right? So we have that algorithmic nature at play, which is very, very different than the previous two examples. Now, in this next category, category 4, we are going to be slowly ratcheting up the difficulty level by building a more complex, more sophisticated app. And a nice example here is a web chat app, okay? So you're going to have login, register, right? Authentication there. And then you're going to show the main screen. And on the main screen, you can start new chats, you can send messages, you can create a new chat from existing contacts, you can maybe invite a user. You will also have things like push notifications, you might have disappearing messages, you might have groups, you might have channels. It's going to be secure. There's going to be a lot of moving pieces. You might have things where you can have recommendations, recommend me new channels. You might have invites, a lot of interesting things. And so in this category, we can include all the regular chat apps, things like Telegram, Signal, even iMessage, which is kind of more personal, WhatsApp as well. Now, this may look easy and straightforward at first glance, but when you start actually building things, you're going to realize there's a lot of gotchas, there's a lot of edge cases, there's a lot of conditions that are happening. For instance, if you are building a main screen, you may want to show who you're chatting to, and so you need to store your chat in a way that you can easily figure out who is the other user, and that other user can see the same chat and can see that they're chatting to you. Plus, you might have functionality where you want to show that your message has been delivered, that your message has been read, that the person is online, the person is offline. That means you want to support the capability of the app being either online, being offline. And so there's that added dimension of the app not only working when you're online, which is the case for the previous examples, but also in a situation when you're offline. Basically, you're getting your messages, you're sending messages, then you go offline, you might get a push notification that there's a message for you. You might log in, you might see that your messages have not been read because the person has not been online for 24 hours, or like for a week they haven't been online, they haven't been online in a month or something like that. And so there's a lot of little things, a lot of gotchas, a lot of edge cases in order to build a fully functioning web app. Now, if you are interested in building something like this, I recently built an app just like this, arguably without a lot of these other functionality, and that's available on my Patreon page, which you're going to see in the link in the description below. Now, in this last, but definitely not least, category 5, you're going to be building an AI deep learning app. And this is a perfect example if you want to build an app that does something incredible, something that no other apps that we talked about can do or will be able to do. It's a completely different category of apps. These are apps that can provide a ton of value to your users. They can help users in many, many ways because AI fundamentally works very different. Because building an AI app will mean that your app is going to work fundamentally different than the previous apps that you may want to build. And so in this example, we have an app that can do various amazing things. So it can do things like face recognition, image recognition, text classifications, which is part of NLP, which stands for natural language processing. It can also do speech recognition and or sentiment analysis. And so the idea here is that you can either start with a new model that you can train it using your particular data set, or you can start with a pre-trained model. And what is a model? Well, a model is like an answer, right? It's like you feed it a bunch of data and you tell it, okay, well, this, this face is that, this object is that, this is the name of the person, whose face you're feeding. Or maybe you feed a bunch of text and you say, well, this sentence it has a lot of positive sentiment. This sentence has negative sentiment. And over time, your system, as a result of you feeding all this data, it learns the rules. It understands the rules. And you can't, tell these rules to the system yourself. You need that system to kind of learn the rules, because that's really the purpose of AI. It's to learn those rules that you would otherwise be telling a computer program in simpler cases, just like with all the other apps, the previous apps we talk about. Whereas here, you just give it data and it figures out the rules. And then next time when you have a user that's using the app and they're giving it a sentence that they want, sentiment analysis on, or they're giving it like an image for image recognition, face recognition, it will be able to do. And so the possibilities are pretty much endless here. And remember, this is only one type of AI. There's different AI, tools you can build. There are different AI apps that you can build. They have a lot of algorithms out there. They have a lot of open source algorithms. They have third-party algorithms that you can tie into. And another thing that makes this challenging is that there are going to be situations where you can't test this app on FlutterFlow, because you may be building for mobile, but when you test it on FlutterFlow, it's testing it for the web. And so you will have to download the code, test it on an emulator simulator. And plus, you may also want to use local assets for your data. This is going to be maybe Firebase storage, or it's going to be part of FlutterFlow. You might also want to be using some advanced functionality such as Firebase machine learning, where you can take your model, put it into Firebase ML, and then your app can automatically pull that model, and you can also replace that model while the app is running. So when you launch the app, your users download it, they start running it on their devices, and you decide you have a new model, maybe an improved model, a recently released model, a new and improved model. You can simply update it on Firebase ML, and your users will automatically fetch the newly updated model. And these things will make building your app a lot easier. And at the end of the day, you can build an amazing app that does truly incredible things, whether it's, some kind of image analysis, text analysis, recognition, maybe something like filters on the images, you name it. There's really unlimited things that you can do. Plus, we have ChatGTP that's out. We have OpenAI products. So you can combine all of that and build a truly amazing assistant, or some kind of an app that really improves the user's life. And so these were the 5 general categories of apps that you can build. And just like I talked about in the beginning of the video, I've built a lot of these apps and they're available on my Patreon page. So when you sign up using the link below and become a supporter, you will be able to get access to these kinds of apps. If you are a beginner, I highly recommend to you to start with the first category of apps. Start by building a simple to-do app, or some kind of a single page app that does something very, very simple, just manipulates data and displays it in a reactive way. If you have some experience, then I recommend for you to start with a category somewhere in the middle. So maybe build some kind of an e-commerce store, or some kind of a product that uses the list detail pattern, or something along the lines where you're using multiple pages, but you don't have a very, very complex algorithm or an engine that's doing something inside. Now, if you are a little bit on the more experienced side, I recommend you to look into building an app that has an engine, maybe a recommendation engine, a matching engine, or something in the middle where it makes the user delighted, right? Because they just log in and they see the content they want to see based on their past actions, based on their previous actions. Both dating apps such as Tinder, apps like social media, Twitter, Facebook, they all work on that. They all work from building content for the users, as a result of the user taking various actions previously on, interacting within the app, within the ecosystem of the app. So that is something that you can build. Now, if you are looking to build a real, true app, something serious, something mass market, then you can look into jumping into the AI sphere, which is very, very hot right now. They're making huge gains. You can build amazing apps in this area, and you can look into building something that I have here, or you can access an existing service, an existing AI service, using something like an API or some other connection. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video and you are truly looking to go from somebody who's a beginner to somebody who is more of an expert in Nocode, in FlutterFlow, then you definitely want to check out my Patreon page. Not only will you get access to all the FlutterFlow apps, as well as apps that I built using some of the other no-code builders. That means you can easily view and or clone all the apps that I built, but you will also get access to extra content such as Q&As, live streams, my behind the scenes content, my masterclass series. I'm actually doing a new masterclass next week. I had a survey on my Patreon page asking my members what kind of content are they interested in. So we have an awesome community that we interact all the time, that we're learning from each other. And plus, by joining the Patreon community, it's an awesome way of supporting the channel and supporting my work. So if you haven't yet signed up, I definitely urge you to do so. And so this will do it for today's video. I really hope you're going to put some of the ideas that I talked about today into practice, into motion, and become better in no-code, become better with tools such as FlutterFlow. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give this video a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you in a future video.